Hello, my lovelies. I'm Ginny O, the author with no last name, and this is Ginny O Reviews, the part of the channel where I review an independent science fiction or fantasy book. Before I get into today's selection, a bit of housekeeping. Last time, I said that I was going to read a selection from Diane Morrison's Once Upon a Time in the Weird West, a post-apocalyptic steampunk weird western. After reading it, I realized that as written, it was neither a collection of shorts, as the front proclaimed, nor was it a novel. Being unable to classify it, in good faith, conscience, I don't feel I can review it properly. Many apologies. Instead, I'm going to move on to the next book. This week, I'm reviewing Renee April's Her Crown of Fire, a young adult portal fantasy novel. You can find Renee April on Twitter at ReneeApril92, her YouTube channel as Renee April, or on Twitch as Renee Sky. From the back of the book. In the dull, everyday world, 17-year-old Rose Evermore struggles to plan beyond her final year of high school. But when fire suddenly obeys her every command, and her dreams predict the future, she becomes hungry for more of this strange power. Under her dream's guidance, Rose lands in the fantasy realm of Lothra with a tag-along, Tyson. Her best friend since childhood winds up there with her, just as confused and a hell of a lot more vulnerable. In Lothra, Rose is welcomed and celebrated as a fire mage at the academy, while the very unmagical Tyson is forced into hiding under threat of death from the headmasters of Rose's new school. As Rose's talent in fire magic draws unwanted attention, and Tyson struggles to transition from high school student to blacksmith, Rose must find a way to return Tyson to their own world before the headmasters discover and execute him, no matter the cost. Quick PSA. I actually don't know Renee April. Our paths haven't crossed in the Twitter writing community, so complete stranger to me. I picked up her book because A, it looked interesting, and B, I needed to fill out an Amazon order. No regrets! So let's get right into it. I would classify Her Crown of Fire as a young adult book, so as with all my young adult book reviews, I'm going to try to come at this from would teenage me have liked this book and why? Teenage me would have greatly enjoyed this book. Magic, portals to another world, a bookish heroine. Teenage me would have read this through in one day, probably on the bus to or from school. Look, I had a long bus ride. Books were a haven from tedium. The world is well thought out, the writing is excellent, and I forgot my surroundings and the time. There is a lot going on in the book as Rose tries to learn about the world, and her unruly behavior and unwillingness to pay attention make it harder to fit in or discover information she badly needs to know. She makes friends, she makes enemies, she makes promises she shouldn't, she discovers things, and some things remain a mystery, like her parentage and the other countries of her new world, no doubt to be addressed in the next book. The world building felt really well thought out, and I wanted to know more about the different powers, what they're used for, the history of the world, and the politics. And in some cases, the book delivered because there was a huge external plotline revolving around the politics of the world and one of Rose's new best friends. There is something rotten in the world of Lothra. And Rose may, whether or not she intends to, in trying to get Tyson home, find out what. Trying to figure out how everything in the book tied together kept me turning pages. Her Crown of Fire bit off a lot, and probably could have used another 20,000 words or so to really make it gel. As it is, it's still an entertaining read. The ending of the book left teenage me wanting more, as teenage me hopes that Renee will deliver on all these promises from the first book. The writing is good. I feel anchored in Rose's body, like I'm experiencing things with her. It is written in present tense. I know some readers don't like present tense. I automatically translate it to past tense in my head, and if the writing is good enough, like this book is, I won't even notice it. So I'm giving this book 4.5 ginger snaps. Why only 4.5? As a reader, this book is one step away from 5 ginger snaps. What I'm missing is what does Rose want? There are several interesting conflicts that are mentioned in the book and are almost addressed. Rose wants to get her best friend home is the most obvious conflict that the plot meanders towards and around like it wants to focus on it, but isn't quite sure how. Like I said, there is a lot going on. None of the plots outside the external plot of what is going on with the politics of the world are tackled head on. We amble through that plot, touching on the others from time to time. Oh, right, those exist! Towards the end, we start getting a glimmer of what Rose wants and is conflicted about enough to make the book feel somewhat satisfying and make me go, I'd read the next book just to see what happens next. And I wish I had that urgency conflict in Rose through the whole book to make me feel along with her. It would have made Rose much more sympathetic as a character. Rose spends a lot of time ignoring things until they blow up in her face to the detriment of the book. Even as Rose's inner conflicts were being shown in the last end of the book, the external conflicts were being resolved without the appropriate setup. There were things that I didn't realize were supposed to be mysteries at all. If I went back and reread the book, I wouldn't go, oh, that makes sense. A lot of the solutions to the plot lines came out of nowhere, including the lesbian romance subplot. In fact, this book is rather sexless for the viewpoint of a 17-year-old girl. Writing romance is difficult, and I believe the end romance couple a lot more if Rose had indicated she wanted to spend time with a girl, or daydreamed about her looks, or if there was some witty banter. There needed to be some build-up. Instead, she spends more time worrying about her best friend Tyson and completely avoiding her soulmate, both male. She doesn't think about them in a physical way either, so I'm unsure if Rose is asexual, a lesbian, or if she's bisexual. Maybe further books will clear this up. When I got to the lesbian part of the book, I didn't think, aha! I thought, well, that happened. It's a microcosm of the overall trouble I had with the book that made me strike off half the ginger snaps. Even if Rose didn't know what she wanted, other than getting her best friend home, the book would have been better served by focusing on at least one of the struggles. And if that was find a way to get my friend home, as the back suggests, then that mystery and her searching for the solution need to be shown at least more explicitly, giving Rose more agency over her actions in the book. The politics, the soulmate, and the halflings are mostly distractions from getting Tyson home, because to get Tyson home, it turns out she never actually needed to leave the academy. As it is, she stumbles upon the solution, and while that sets up conflict for the next book, it was a, oh, huh, rather than, I knew it! Overall, Her Crown of Fire is an engrossing read in a complex world that I want to visit again in hopes of learning more about it and about Rose. There were a lot of mysteries left open, and the stated conflicts hopefully will be addressed better later. I'll happily pick up the next book when it comes out if I had the money. If it sounds like anything you would enjoy, I hope you give it a try. You can find Her Crown of Fire on Amazon. Enjoyed this review? Please give me a like, share, and or a subscribe. As for this channel, I'm doing this on my own time with my own funds. I have set up a Ko-fi account, and any funds donated towards the Ko-fi will be used towards buying more books to review. As you can hear, I have a new camera lovingly gifted to me by my father for Christmas after my tablet turned into a brick. The link to my Ko-fi is in the description below. Every bit helps. Thank you! You can find me on Twitter at Ginny0, or at my website, ginny0.wordpress.com. That's Ginny, the number 0.wordpress.com. There you can find out information about all my upmarket fantasy and military urban science fantasy books, as well as the review guidelines for this channel. If there's a book you want me to review, please leave me a comment with a link to the book or contact me through my website. All suggestions welcome. Next time, my lovelies, I'll be reading or reviewing something. Clearly, right now, I can't be trusted to plan ahead. See you in the next video.